Welcome to Creepytalks, where hidden fears come alive through chilling horror tales. Dare to listen as every story pulls you deeper into the darkness. Story 1: The Glass House in Norway. I never believed in bad vibes until the night I babysat at the Halvorsen house. It was late October in Bergen, Norway, when the sun dipped below the horizon before I even finished my coffee. The air carried that sharp, metallic chill that warned winter was close. I had just moved to Norway for university and needed quick cash. Babysitting was easy money. Quiet kids, nice houses, rich parents. That's what I thought. The Halvorsens lived 30 minutes outside the city, tucked deep into a forest near a narrow fjord. Their house was stunning. Modern, almost entirely made of glass, floor-to-ceiling windows, black steel framing, surrounded by towering pine trees. It looked beautiful. It also looked exposed. When I arrived at 6:30 p.m., darkness had already swallowed the forest. Mrs. Halvorsen greeted me at the door. She was pale, unnaturally pale, with thin lips and nervous eyes. "You'll only need to watch Elias," she said quietly. "He'll be asleep upstairs. We'll be back by midnight." She hesitated before adding, "If he talks, just reassure him. Don't encourage it." "Encourage what?" I asked lightly. "His imagination." Her husband stood behind her, staring at me a little too long. Then they left. The house fell silent. Not normal silence. Forest silence. I locked the door behind them and stood there for a moment. The walls of glass made me feel like I was inside a fishbowl. Anyone outside could see me clearly, but I couldn't see beyond the reflection of my own face. I checked the baby monitor on the kitchen counter. Elias, 6 years old, blonde hair, small frame, was asleep in his bed upstairs. His room light was dim, casting soft shadows across dinosaur wallpaper. Everything normal. For the first hour, nothing happened. I made tea, watched a Norwegian crime show, tried not to look at the endless darkness outside the windows. Then the monitor crackled, a faint whisper. I froze. "Hello?" Static. Then I heard it clearly. "She's back." It was Elias. I grabbed the monitor and turned up the volume. His eyes were open now. He wasn't crying. He was staring at something, not at the camera, at the corner of his room. I swallowed. Kids imagine things. Monsters in closets. Standard babysitting stuff. I headed upstairs. The hallway felt longer than before. My footsteps echoed strangely against the wooden floor. When I reached his room, I gently pushed the door open. "Elias?" He turned slowly toward me. "She doesn't like when you come in." A cold ripple ran through my body. "Who doesn't?" I asked, kneeling beside his bed. He pointed. To the corner. Nothing was there. Just shadow. I forced a smile. "It's just the dark." He shook his head. "She stands there every night, but she only moves when no one looks." My chest tightened. "Elias, sweetheart, there's nobody here." He leaned closer and whispered, "She stands outside first, then she comes in." Outside. My heart skipped. I quickly scanned the massive bedroom windows. Blackness. But something felt wrong. The curtains were slightly open, and for a split second, I thought I saw movement. I rushed to the window and pulled the curtain aside. Nothing, just trees, swaying gently in the wind. I laughed nervously. "See? Nobody." But Elias wasn't looking at the window anymore. He was staring at the door. Slowly I turned. The hallway light flickered. Just once. I felt my stomach drop. "Okay," I said quickly. "Time to sleep." I closed his door halfway and returned downstairs. But I didn't sit down this time. I stood near the center of the living room, surrounded by glass walls. That's when I noticed it. Footprints. Outside, on the thin layer of frost covering the wooden deck, bare footprints, leading toward the house, not away, toward. My breathing became shallow. There was no snow earlier, no frost when I arrived, which meant they were fresh. I stepped closer to the glass, and then I saw her, at the edge of the trees, a figure, tall, thin, standing completely still, long dark hair hanging over her face. She was barefoot. Even from that distance, I could see her skin looked gray. I stumbled backward. "No," I whispered. This wasn't possible. She was too still, too unnatural. And then she tilted her head, not slightly, not humanly, almost sideways, like something observing prey. My survival instinct screamed at me to run. But where? The house was all glass. I grabbed my phone and tried calling Mrs. Halverson. No signal, no service. Impossible. I had full bars earlier. The figure took one step forward. Crunch. I heard it. From outside. She wasn't far. She was closer than I thought. Suddenly, the baby monitor shrieked with static. Elias was screaming. I bolted upstairs. When I reached his room, he was sitting up in bed, crying hysterically. "She's inside! She's inside!" I slammed the door shut and locked it. "Elias, there's no—" I stopped. The corner. It looked darker. Not shadow dark. Occupied dark. And then, a faint sound behind me. Breathing. Slow. Wet. From the hallway. I turned slowly toward the door. The handle moved, just slightly. A soft rattle. Then scratching. Long nails dragging across wood. Elias buried his face in my stomach. "She doesn't like babysitters," he sobbed. My mind raced. How did she get in? The doors were locked. The windows sealed. Unless she was never outside. Unless she was already in. The scratching stopped. Silence. Then a whisper from the other side of the door. "She's not your mother." My blood ran cold. The voice wasn't Elias's. It wasn't human. It sounded layered, like multiple voices speaking at once. I grabbed the heavy desk chair and wedged it under the door handle. My phone vibrated suddenly. One bar of signal, a text message from an unknown number. "Don't look behind you." I couldn't breathe. Slowly, very slowly. I turned my eyes toward the corner of the room. She was there now, inside. Not shadow, not imagination. She was crouched in the corner, limbs bent unnaturally, fingers too long, nails black and cracked. Her hair covered her face. Water dripped from her skin, pooling on the floor, like she had crawled out of the fjord itself. Elias whimpered. She began to move. Not walking, crawling. Fast. Too fast. I grabbed Elias and jumped onto the bed as she scrambled across the floor with jerking, insect-like movements. Her head snapped upward, and I saw her face. No eyes, just hollow black sockets, and a stretched, broken smile. The door behind me burst open. The chair flew across the room. She froze, slowly turning her head toward the hallway. Heavy footsteps approached. A man's voice. Deep, angry. "Enough!" The creature shrieked, an ear-piercing, distorted sound, and vanished. Not ran. Vanished. Like smoke dissolving. Mr. Halverson stood in the doorway. His face wasn't shocked. It wasn't confused. It was furious. At me. "You weren't supposed to see her," he said coldly. Mrs. Halverson appeared behind him, tears streaming down her face. "We told you not to encourage him." I clutched Elias tightly. "What is that thing?" I screamed. They looked at each other, then at the corner. Mr. Halverson spoke quietly. "She followed us from the old house years ago. She attaches herself to children, especially when they're alone." "You knew?" I shouted. "We can't leave Elias alone," Mrs. Halverson whispered. "She tries to take him." "Take him where?" Neither answered. Instead, Mr. Halverson stepped toward me. You need to leave. Now. I didn't argue. I grabbed my coat and ran. As I reached my car, I glanced once more at the glass house, and I saw her, standing behind the upstairs window, holding Elias's hand, smiling at me. But the parents were downstairs, which meant the thing holding his hand wasn't Elias anymore. Story 2, The Basement Camera, United States. I should have left when I saw the camera pointed at the basement door, but I needed the money. It was winter in Minnesota, United States. The kind of winter where the air hurts your lungs and snow buries houses up to the windows. I was 19, home from college, picking up babysitting jobs through a local app. The Henderson job paid double the normal rate. That should have been my first warning. The house sat at the end of a cul-de-sac, surrounded by frozen trees and knee-deep snow. The street lights flickered weakly through the storm clouds. It felt isolated. Mr. Henderson opened the door before I even knocked. He was tall, thin, and pale. Not sickly pale, just drained. His eyes were red like he hadn't slept in days. "You're Claire?" he asked. "Yes." "Good, come in, quickly." He kept looking over my shoulder like he expected someone to be standing behind me. Inside, the house was warm. Too warm. The heat blasted unnaturally high. Mrs. Henderson stood in the living room, arms crossed tightly over her chest. She forced a smile. "You'll only need to watch Lily," she said. "She's 8. She'll be awake until 9. Okay? And whatever you hear," Mr. Henderson added sharply, "do not go into the basement." There it was, the cliché horror rule. I almost laughed. "Why?" I asked casually. "Because," Mrs. Henderson whispered, "she doesn't like it when people go down there." I frowned. "She?" They didn't answer. Instead, Mr. Henderson handed me a small tablet device. It displayed 4 security camera feeds: front door, back door, living room, and basement stairs. The camera pointed directly at a white basement door at the end of the hallway. "Why monitor it?" I asked. Mr. Henderson swallowed. "Just in case." "In case of what?" Silence. Then Mrs. Henderson leaned closer. "If Lily asks you to open it, don't." That was the second warning. They left at 7:05 p.m. The door locked behind them with a heavy click. I stood there holding the tablet, staring at the basement feed. The hallway light above the basement door flickered faintly. Lily appeared beside me without making a sound. "You're the new one," she said softly. I jumped. She had long brown hair and very calm eyes. Too calm for a child. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Want to watch a movie?" She nodded. We sat on the couch. She didn't speak much, didn't laugh, didn't react to the movie. She just stared, at the hallway, at the basement door, at the tablet in my hand. "Do you watch it all night?" she asked. "Watch what?" "The door." I hesitated. "Your parents just like to be careful." She tilted her head slightly. "She knocks sometimes." The air felt heavier. "Who knocks?" Lily looked at me like I was slow. "The lady downstairs." I forced myself not to react. "There's no one downstairs?" "She cries," Lily continued quietly, "but only when Daddy locks the door." A chill ran up my spine. I looked at the camera feed. The basement door was still closed. Still. Silent. 8:13 p.m. A faint sound echoed through the hallway. Thud. I froze. Lily didn't. "She's awake." Thud. This time louder. It definitely came from the basement. I stared at the tablet. The door hadn't moved, but the handle twitched slightly. Just barely. I stood up slowly. "Stay here," I told Lily. "Don't," she said calmly. I stepped into the hallway. The house felt different now. the warmth suffocating, the silence pressing against my ears. I approached the basement door. Thud. It came from the other side, like someone had hit it with their fist. "Hello?" I called, my voice shaking despite myself. Nothing. Then, 3 slow knocks. Deliberate. Human. My heart pounded violently. This wasn't pipes. This wasn't the house settling. Someone was down there. I grabbed the handle instinctively. Locked. Of course. I looked back at Lily. She was standing behind me now. Too close. "She knows you're here," Lily whispered. "Lily, who is in the basement?" I demanded. "She used to be my babysitter." My stomach dropped. "What?" She didn't listen either. The hallway light flickered violently. The tablet in my hand glitched. The basement camera feed filled with static. Then it came back. The door, still closed, but something was visible now at the bottom of the frame. Fingers. Long, pale fingers sliding slowly under the gap of the basement door. I screamed and stumbled backward. They bent unnaturally, scraping against the hardwood floor. Lily watched calmly. "She wants you to open it," she said. The fingers retreated, then scratching began. Slow, methodical, like nails carving patterns into wood. I grabbed Lily's shoulders. "This isn't funny. Who is down there?" "She fell," Lily said softly. "Down the stairs. Daddy said she left, but I hear her breathing." My pulse pounded in my ears. "Your parents are lying," I whispered. Lily just stared at me. Suddenly, the tablet buzzed violently. The front door camera activated. Someone was standing outside, in the snow. A woman, barefoot, wearing a thin nightgown. Her hair hung over her face. She was staring directly into the doorbell camera. My throat closed. It was impossible. No one could survive outside in this temperature dressed like that. The image glitched. Then she was gone. The knocking downstairs became violent. Bang, bang, bang. The basement door shook against its hinges. Lily smiled faintly. "She doesn't like when they leave me alone." The lights went out. Total darkness. Only the tablet screen illuminated the hallway. On the basement camera feed, the door was open, slowly creaking inward. But I was standing right in front of it. The real door was still closed. Yet on the screen, the staircase beyond was visible. Pitch black. And something was moving at the bottom, crawling upward. I couldn't breathe. The door handle in front of me started turning, slowly, from the inside. Click. The lock snapped open. I grabbed Lily and ran toward the living room. The basement door burst open behind us. Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. Not normal footsteps. Dragging, uneven, wet. I locked us inside the bathroom and shoved a dresser against the door. Something slammed into it instantly. The entire frame shook. Lily covered her ears. "She's angry," she whispered. The banging stopped. Silence. Then a soft voice from the other side. "Claire!" My blood froze. It was my voice, perfectly mimicked. "Claire, open the door." I backed away slowly. It laughed, not loudly, just a low, broken chuckle. The bathroom mirror fogged suddenly. Letters began forming across the glass. WELCOMEBACK, back? I had never been here before. The banging resumed, harder. The dresser began sliding. I grabbed the towel rack rod, ready to defend myself. The door cracked. A pale hand forced through the gap. The skin was split and twisted like it had healed wrong. The fingers stretched toward Lily. "Mine," it whispered. Then, car headlights flooded the windows. The banging stopped instantly. The hand disappeared. Heavy footsteps retreated down the hallway. The front door opened. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson's voices echoed through the house. I shoved the dresser aside and ran out. The hallway looked normal. The basement door was closed. No damage, no scratches, nothing. Mr. Henderson stared at me. You opened it. It wasn't a question. I didn't, I shouted. There's something down there. Mrs. Henderson rushed to the basement door and pressed her forehead against it. Relief washed over her face. She's still inside, she whispered. Mr. Henderson grabbed my arm tightly. Did she speak to you? I couldn't answer. He leaned closer. She can sound like anyone. She learns your voice. My knees felt weak. You kept someone down there, I said. She fell, Mrs. Henderson repeated softly. Years ago, the first babysitter. We couldn't let the police take Lily. My mind reeled. You locked her in the basement? Mr. Henderson's grip tightened. We locked something in the basement. Suddenly, Lily screamed. We all turned. She was staring at the tablet still in my hand. The basement camera feed showed the door, closed, but behind it, standing on the other side, was Lily, smiling, looking into the camera, slowly raising her hand to wave. But the real Lily was clutching her mother's leg, crying. The tablet screen went black. The basement door handle began to turn again. Mr. Henderson whispered, She found a way out. The lights exploded, glass shattered, and the last thing I saw was Lily's smile widening far wider than any human mouth should stretch. Story 3, The Night Shift, Australia. This one isn't about ghosts. I wish it was, because ghosts would have made more sense. This happened in Perth, Australia, during one of the hottest summers on record. Bushfires had been burning for weeks outside the city, and smoke hung in the air like a permanent fog. Nights felt heavy, suffocating. I was 21 and saving money for a move to Sydney. Babysitting paid well, especially overnight shifts. The ad was simple. Overnight sitter needed. 1 child, easy job, generous pay. The address led me to a quiet suburban street near the edge of the city. The house was modern, single-story white exterior, security cameras mounted under the roof edges. Too many cameras. Mr. Calloway answered the door. Mid-40s, clean-cut, calm, too calm. You're Emma? He asked. Yes. Good. My wife and I will be out of town for the night. Our son Noah is upstairs. He sleeps early. Any allergies? Emergency numbers. He handed me a printed sheet. Everything looked normal. Then he added something strange. There's a security system, motion sensors inside the house. If the alarm goes off, don't panic. Why would it go off? I asked. It's old. Faulty sometimes. That didn't sit right. Mrs. Calloway barely spoke. She kept looking at Noah, who stood silently at the bottom of the stairs. He was 7, thin, quiet, watching me carefully. Doors stay locked, Mr. Calloway said firmly. Windows too. I understand. He hesitated before leaving. If Noah tells you someone is in the house, he's lying. A small pause. He has episodes. And then they were gone. The house felt different the second their car disappeared down the street. Too quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Muted quiet. Like something waiting. Noah didn't say much during dinner. He answered questions politely, but his eyes kept drifting toward the hallway. Do you like living here? I asked casually. He shrugged. It's better when they're gone. I laughed lightly. Why's that? They lock the doors earlier when they're home. That was odd. What do you mean? He didn't answer. At 9 p.m., I tucked him into bed. His room was neat, minimal toys. A nightlight shaped like a moon glowed faintly. Emma, he whispered as I turned off the light. Yes? If you hear tapping, don't open my door. I smiled gently. Okay. I'm serious. I closed his door and headed downstairs. By 10:30 p.m., the heat was unbearable. Even with the air conditioning on, sweat clung to my skin. Then I heard it, a soft metallic click from the hallway. I stood slowly. The sound came again. Click, like a door unlocking. I walked toward the sound. All doors were closed. Front door locked, back door locked, windows sealed. Then, tap, from upstairs. I froze. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, rhythmic, coming from Noah's bedroom. My stomach tightened. I told myself it was pipes, the house settling. But it wasn't random. It was patterned. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. I climbed the stairs carefully. Noah? I called softly. The tapping stopped instantly. I opened his door slowly. He was sitting upright in bed, eyes wide. You heard it, he whispered. Probably just branches outside. There are no trees near my window. I swallowed. He wasn't wrong. His window faced the side of the house. Empty driveway, no bushes. Tap. This time louder. From his window. We both turned. Someone was tapping from outside. On the second floor. There was no balcony, no ladder, nothing to stand on. Tap, tap, tap. Noah started shaking. He found out they left, he whispered. Who found out? Noah looked at me like I should already know. The man who lives in the walls. I almost snapped at him. Instead, I forced calm. There is no one in the walls. Yes, there is. The tapping stopped. Silence. Then, the motion alarm downstairs beeped. Once, then twice. Movement detected. My heart began racing. Stay here, I told Noah. No! He grabbed my arm. Don't go down there. I gently pulled away and stepped into the hallway. The air felt thick, oppressive. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, the alarm panel flashed. Zone 4. Hallway. I was standing in the hallway, which meant something had triggered it behind me. Upstairs. A floorboard creaked above my head. Slowly, deliberately. I looked up toward the ceiling. Another creak, like someone shifting their weight. In the attic. I stepped backward. The ceiling access panel was directly above the hallway, and it was slightly open. Just a crack. I hadn't noticed it earlier. My breath caught in my throat. Something moved behind the crack, a faint shadow shifting. Then, dust fell lightly onto the floor. I couldn't move. A long, slow scratching sound came from above, dragging across wood. Then silence. Suddenly, Noah screamed upstairs. I ran. His bedroom door was open. He was standing in the center of the room, window wide open, hot air pouring in. I didn't open it, he cried. Footprints. On the outside wall. Not on the ground. On the wall. Like someone had climbed vertically. My brain refused to process it. Where is he? Noah whispered. Who? The man. The closet door creaked open behind us. Slowly. I spun around. Empty. But something felt wrong. The bed shifted slightly, as if weight had just lifted from it. The motion alarm beeped again. Zone 2. Kitchen. I grabbed Noah and locked us in the bathroom. Called the police. Whispered the address. They said units were nearby. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. The attic creaked again, directly above us. Then, a loud thud in the hallway, heavy, like someone dropped down from a height. Noah buried his face into my side. Footsteps, slow, dragging slightly, moving toward the bathroom. The handle began to turn, gently, testing it. Then a soft knock, 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. The same pattern from the window. Noah started sobbing silently. A voice came from the other side. Low, calm, male. You left the window open. I couldn't breathe. We've been watching you both, the voice continued. Not distorted, not supernatural. Human, very human. The doorknob rattled harder. I won't hurt the boy. The attic creaked again, and I understood. There wasn't one person. There were two. Police sirens wailed faintly in the distance. The rattling stopped instantly. Footsteps rushed down the hallway. Then silence. Complete silence. The police arrived within minutes. They searched the house, the attic, the backyard. Nothing. No forced entry, no fingerprints, no footprints. Except one thing. In the attic insulation, officers found a sleeping bag, empty water bottles, food wrappers. Someone had been living there for weeks, watching, listening, waiting for the parents to leave. Mr. and Mrs. Calloway came home at 3 a.m. They didn't look shocked. They looked defeated. "You knew," I said quietly. Mrs. Calloway started crying. "He used to break in months ago," she whispered, "before we installed cameras." Mr. Calloway stared at the floor. "We thought the alarm scared him off." Noah looked at his father. "He comes when you leave," he said softly. "Police never caught anyone. No suspects, no arrests. The attic access was repaired, extra locks installed, more cameras added. I never babysat again." But 3 weeks later, I received a message from an unknown number, a video attachment, recorded from inside a dark space. The camera slowly zoomed through a small crack, looking down into a bedroom. Noah's bedroom. Time-stamped the night I was there. The video ended with 3 soft taps.